I want to move on and set up our next limit technique by talking about limits and inequalities. Oh, excuse me. So, let's say I have some function f of x, and my f of x is going to be the function 4 times the sine of x. There it is, not drawn to scale. I guess that's more of a cosine function, but you get the idea. I know that the sine function is always going to be between -1 and +1. So my function, f of x, is always going to be between -4 and +4. If I'm going to take a limit of this function, well, it's the sine function, so I know I can use my direct substitution rule. But I also know that only certain y values will come out of my function. So if I want the limit as I wanted the limit of the function f of x as x approaches, let's say, as x approaches pi, this has to be between the values of -4 and 4, maybe equal to 4 even. In particular, I know that because my function is determined by the sine, so it's 4 times the sine of x, x is approaching pi, and I know that the value of the sine function there is 0, I will use direct substitution. I can see that my limit is between -4 and 4. It's directly in between them. Okay, that's not incredibly exciting, but we can do a little bit more with this observation. So if f of x is always less than or equal to g of x, then whatever happens with the formula for g, that's going to affect the y values I'm allowed to get for the formula of f. So the limit as x approaches a of the formula f of x is going to be less than or equal to the limit as x approaches a in the formula of g of x, provided both limits exist. So the fact that my y values for the function f are bounded by the y values for the function g means I can say the same thing about both of these limits. Now, graphically, you can imagine this. Let's say that I have some function g of x equals x, like so. My function f of x is going to be x times the cosine of x. So my f function is always going to be less than my g function. That means that the g is going to impose certain conditions on f when I take a limit. Does that make sense? Let's try to do a little bit better here.